World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. Actually, for those who may not know, my name is William Anthony Rogers, so it's kind of a play on words. Wow, June is here. June is always my favorite month, and today was the last day of school, so that's one of the reasons why I always love June. But as June moves out, which is almost gone, I can't believe that, we're moving into July and August. And there are a number of different things happening in Harlem during that time. Actually, all of the time, but especially between July and August. One of the things that have started to catch a lot of people's attention is an event that's going to take place towards the end of July, just before Harlem Week. And that's the Harlem Festival of Culture. And I have as a guest today a person who's been doing a lot of work with Harlem Park to Park and many other activities now, is a co-founder of this new project, Nikoa Evans Hendricks. Nikoa, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and I know that you don't have enough time, so let's jump right into it. Tell us about the Harlem uh, Festival of Culture and how you got into this.
Sure. Well, as you know, Tony, I've been in Harlem now 24 years doing work in various capacities. Most recently, as you mentioned, Harlem Park to Park, as one of the co-founders and executive director of that organization, producing events and other programs designed to support the Harlem business community and promote Harlem. And A longtime friend of mine, Musa Jackson, who I've known for the 24 years I've been in New York, um, also in the community, producing programming, really showcasing, his home. And so when the film came out in July of 2021, I was super proud and excited for Musa, and just really stunned about the story of
Mhm.
the festival, the original festival, and learned soon after that there was really an individual who had trademarked the name and was looking to bring the festival back, and it was not someone from the community.
Mm.
And so had contacted Musa to see if he was involved at all with this, because I didn't recognize the name, and he said no. And he made a few phone calls and realized that no one involved in the project or the film was working with this individual. So this was just someone who had seen the film and thought, wow, this is a great commercialized opportunity, and
Mhm.
was seeking to bring the festival back, but no connection to the community, the culture, etc. So I said to Musa, how about we partner and we work together to bring the festival back? You were at the festival. He attended, as we all know, as a 4-year-old boy, born and raised, family with a long legacy in Harlem. And then, of course, the work that I've been doing, realized that if we bring this back with a reimagined vision, we can ensure that the festival has an impact on Harlem before and after the music stops. So we put our heads together and started to develop a plan to bring back the festival, the original vision of it, but with a twist, with a social impact arm, so that a lot of the issues that have been raised in the film, that were in existence with the original festival, we could address and have the foundation, which we set up at the same time, the Harlem Festival Culture Foundation, to be the social impact arm of the festival, and ensure that the festival would forever have the impact on the community that 50 years ago we asked ourselves the question: if the festival had never been buried in a box in a basement, what kind of an impact could it have had on Harlem for the last 50 years? Economic impact, social impact, and how do we ensure that that happens going forward? So the two of us came together and brainstormed about it, and then set a plan in motion to bring other team members on to really help realize the vision and get some of the technical expertise in terms of production, and other areas that we needed, PR, marketing, etc. So, but it all started with seeing the film and then finding out that we had to step up to ensure that it wasn't taken from the community, because that's what was happening.
Well, it's interesting for two reasons. One, um, the Panther Party did security for the first event. That's that was my exposure to it, you know. And second, the reason why um, Pat Stevens, my cousin and publisher of the Harlem Community News, suggested that I become president of the Harlem Tourism Board, which I really didn't want to do. When she says, people have applications in to develop the Harlem. This was about maybe 15 years ago,
I remember this, Tony. Yeah.
but and what they're doing is trying to create a Harlem tourism and hospitality industry, and have some sort of control over that at that time. So if we don't have something, even if it's just on paper, to say that there is a Harlem Tourism Board to create some sort of guidance or umbrella to the growing Harlem hospitality and tourism industry, then somebody like us will be doing that. And all of the things that is coming out of Harlem now would not in any way be controlled. And like you, obviously, as a we created the 501c3. Most of the work is done out of pocket or whatever. Even our GoHarlem.org site is, we're out of pocket. So I understand you, which is why I appreciate you doing this. But you have to let people know a little bit more, because I know your time is limited. So tell us a little bit about you, Nikoa, and some of the other things that you're doing, because you have businesses, and some of the wonderful work that has taken place with Harlem Park to Park as far
Sure.
as getting businesses dealing with Whole Food, dealing with some of
Yeah.
those things. So just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. It's so interesting. The work that I have done with Harlem Park to Park really was part of the journey leading to Harlem Festival of Culture. So, as you mentioned, Harlem Park to Park was formed in 2009. I've been an entrepreneur in Harlem now for 20 years. And at the time in 2009, I was a store owner, a retail store owner, with a couple of partners. And the market had collapsed. If you remember, we were in an economic downturn. And so myself and 8 other businesses, the co-founding board members, came together to form Harlem Park to Park because we recognized that if we didn't work together as a collective, we weren't going to survive the downturn. So that's really was the catalyst for the formation of it. And it was really designed for us to work together as business owners and create programming and other business development initiatives to help grow Harlem's small business sector. And so over the years, I took on a leadership role as executive director, and that 9 grew to 100 and then 200 and then 300 plus businesses. And I produced, with the collective of businesses and our board, programming that included everything from the Harlem Harvest Festival, which became an annual outdoor fair featuring local Harlem brands, that really led to the development of the Harlem Local Vendor Program, which was an accelerator program formed in partnership with Whole Foods to help mentor and develop local Harlem consumer products brands, food brands, beverage brands, etc., to prepare them for when the Whole Foods store opened so that those brands could be on the shelves. And that program is something I'm most proud of because we opened that Whole Foods store with 20 Harlem brands on the shelves, many of which are still on the store shelf and are in 40, 50 plus stores around the country now, including Vi Higginson's Mama's One Sauce and Carl Franz, Uncle Waithley's, who owns 67 Orange Street, and a few other brands. And those companies have now grown to sell in hundreds of stores around the country. So that's an example of a business development program. In addition, a mixology showcase, industry showcase, highlighting Harlem's bar and nightlife community, just creating a number of different programs really to promote Harlem and the array of amenities and services that we have here. People, at least then, many, many years ago, people didn't realize they didn't need to leave the community. And so the more we cross promoted the different industry sectors, and that's really what it was about, the cross promotion. Harlem Restaurant Week, which I've produced twice a year for the last 13 years, promoting the restaurants in East, West, and Central Harlem. I think it's the largest outside of New York City Restaurant Week in New York City, neighborhood specific. So all of my efforts have really been designed around pushing the envelope for economic development and business development opportunities for entrepreneurs, as well as community engagement. And so to be able to now segue into bringing that same strategy and business development expertise into Harlem Festival of Culture, that's the role that I play in HFC. I am, thinking about strategy and growth opportunities for the company, but I'm also looking at ways that we engage the local entrepreneurs, whether it's through the marketplace that's going to be at the festival in July 28th through the 30th, the vendor marketplace, or businesses that we've actually folded into the programming that we've produced throughout the year, from the catering contracts to the floral businesses to, the design challenge that we produced in partnership with Steve Madden to identify a Black designer in the neighborhood to help us design the festival merchandise that's going to be sold at the festival. So every opportunity to plug in one of Harlem's local entrepreneurs, every time I see an opportunity, that's the goal. And so we're marketing Harlem, but we're also making sure that the community receives the benefit of the effort.
Nikoa, tell the viewers where the festival will take place and how they can get tickets and some of the lineup that will be part of it during each day.
Sure. So we're excited. It's actually going to be activated in East Harlem and Randall's Island. July 28th, 29th, and 30th. So we're excited about that. Tickets are on sale now. You can get tickets on our website at harlemfestivalofculture.com. They're also available on the Ticketmaster Universe site if people want to go directly to Ticketmaster. But if you go to the harlemfestivalofculture.com website, you'll see the ticket link. And the lineup is really, again, what's interesting is this year is the celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So you see a lot of programming around the country really celebrating and commemorating that. Hip hop didn't exist during the first festival in 1969. So a lot of the talent lineup really does represent that nod to Hip Hop 50 with, some other genres represented as well. So we've got, some Harlem natives. We've got Dougie Fresh, of course, is performing. MC Light is hosting. We have Teyana Taylor, who's a Harlem, hometown girl. So there's a broad range of Coco Jones, who just was named Best New Artist at the BET Awards. So there's a lot of favorite artists I'm sure that people will see in the lineup on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But so there's some Harlem homegrown, and then some other local talent. There's a mixture of R&B, hip hop, dance hall. So it's a little bit of jazz thrown in there. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And again, it's really just a celebration of Harlem, our culture, and with a real focus on Hip Hop 50 this year, sort of our special edition.
Is there a special location in Randall's Island that people should be looking for? Randall's Island can be kind of hard to manipulate sometimes.
Sure. So it's literally just across the bridge, which is great. There's a lot of different ways to access it. So it's really going to be right as soon as people cross over the bridge. And we're activating a pretty large square footage of Randall's Island. There's the stage area, but then the marketplace is quite expansive. We have a number of exciting sponsors that are a part of this. So Shea Moisture is one of our sponsors. So there'll be a whole beauty hair village experience that they're going to be creating. We have, Steve Madden with an activation. We have Shark Beauty, which will have their own beauty activation as well. Northwell Health, which is also one of our presenting sponsors, will be on site. So there'll be a lot of wellness, beauty experiences. And then again, a lot of the local businesses that are people's favorites, from restaurants to some of the other food truck vendors to some of our merchandise vendors that you see in stores like Harlem Haberdashery and Nilu or on the block. They're going to be all there as well. So it's going to be like a reunion of just Harlem, just, loving on each other, the village of Harlem, and kind of celebrating all that we offer. So excited about it, to bring this back. And then, of course, it's our lead up to next year, which will be the 55th anniversary of the original festival.
Which is interesting. There are a lot of anniversaries next year. Harlem Week will be 50 years old. It was funny, though. We were talking to a number of people about Senior Citizens Day during Harlem Week, and one of the things that came out is that if you were 15 50 years ago, you're 65 now. So when we talk about celebrating hip hop, you're going to have a number of seniors out there.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's hard to believe too, because you think about it. It's time just goes really fast, and you think, for myself, I'm 54. So to me, in your head, you're still that person 30 years old, 20 years. So I'm like, wait, I'm actually of the age where hip hop, I'm older than when hip hop. So, I'm part of that generation now. So it's pretty interesting to see. And then when you see the folks that, you grew up listening to, I'm like, they are now considered legacy artists. And you're like, wait, legacy artists used to represent the music artists that my parents listened to. So now we're all a part of this legacy art.
Yeah.
Right? So it's interesting.
You can imagine how I feel when we talk about.
But you know what? It's for all of us, though, right? We're celebrating.
That's true. I mean, it's like, now you have your own business or businesses.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm also a co-owner of a restaurant in Harlem. Been a few restaurants. My partner Brian Washington Palmer, who people know his first restaurant in Harlem, Native. We partnered when it was transitioned to Sexy Taco, and so we have currently have a restaurant called Leroy's Italian, which is in Strivers Row on 137th and 7th. It's
Hmm.
in a space that was formerly Ruby's Vintage.
Hmm.
And so this is a blend of Southern cuisine and Italian cuisine.
That's
Um,
an interesting.
Interesting, right? It's funny because for some people, they grew up eating, maybe fried fish and spaghetti, and it's like, well, wait a minute, that's actually a mix of the Southern and the Italian, and that's basically what it is. It's a spin on that. So Brian thought it would be kind of a very unique offering in Harlem. So the place has been renovated, brand new look and feel with a brand new menu. And like I said, on 137th and 7th, 2340 Adam Clayton Powell, Leroy's Italian. So you can come check us out. Great bar, fun experience.
137th and 7th.
Yep.
So you had mentioned that there was some follow-up things throughout the year that will be taking place. Are those incubator programs, or what are those programs geared to do as relates to uh, the riding on the wave of the major festival that takes place in July?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I mean, we've had, this past year, we held a number of events that were really done in partnership with our sponsors. So there's some events that are very kind of entertainment focused in terms of programming, like we did the Lil Kim show at the Apollo in partnership with Infinity USA. But then also on the foundation side, in terms of the social impact work, the HFC Foundation, which you can learn more about at hfcfoundation.org, that's where we're really doing the work within the economic development, health equity, and youth development space.
Mhm.
So the design challenge that we produced in partnership with Steve Madden was really designed to create an economic opportunity for a Black creative in Harlem to be able to
Mhm.
showcase their work and incorporate them into the design of the product, which they're going to be featured very heavily at the festival. So we're excited about that. On the health equity side, we've just recently done a few events in partnership with our partner Northwell Health, which is a presenting sponsor. So we did an event in May on maternal care, Black maternal care. And we had a panel discussion with several physicians and just really talking about some of the health disparities in Black maternal care and some of the ways to address that.
Mhm.
We also in June just held an event supporting Black men in their mental health. So we held that event at Harlem School of the Arts, and we really had a discussion about the state of mental health in our community, which is something that is getting increasing awareness.
Especially after the pandemic.
Absolutely. The pandemic really, thankfully, uncovered,
Yeah,
some
so
of
yin
that.
and yang, right?
Absolutely. So there's a lot more anxiety and stress that people are experiencing as a result of the pandemic, but it also gave people the opportunity to feel comfortable expressing that they were dealing with issues even before the pandemic. They just didn't feel like they could talk about it. Within our community, it's something that people don't really talk about.
That's true.
It's that
Very. I was
people
just
are
going to
much
say,
more comfortable.
we
So
always know that there's someone in our family that, uh,
absolutely.
as they say, has an issue.
Right.
But
We talk around
we
it.
talk
Now
around
people
it,
are comfortable saying it. They're talking about
that
self-care. They're talking about mental wellness, stress. And so those are the two areas that we've addressed under our health equity pillar thus far. And we'll be launching our youth development programming in the fall.
now, based on your work now with the Harlem Festival of Culture, is there someone taking over, which I'm sure that is known to be difficult to follow in your footsteps with Harlem Park to Park? Are you still involved with that? What's
Sure.
happening there?
So, yes, I'm still involved with Harlem Park to Park. We are, it's 13-year-old organization. And so what we realized as a board needed to be done really was to take some time inward, looking inward and decide what the future looks like for Harlem Park to Park. When we formed, there was certain needs for the businesses in Harlem, and we really have been very successful in addressing that. But Harlem now has different needs. The many of the businesses, our businesses are thriving. They are they're mature. Many of them are 5, 10+ years old. So looking at how does Harlem Park to Park best serve the small business community in Harlem today, and what does that strategic vision look like? So the board is determining that, and then looking to identify the executive director that can kind of take the torch and carry it forward in that way. So that's what's going on right now internally, while we figure that out, because it's it's a very different community and market than it was 13 years ago, thankfully.
Yeah, for better or for worse. But if you again, the 2-year pandemic started to allow for people to put up or shut up. In order to survive, that
Yeah,
created certain skill needs that had to be done.
absolutely.
Would you like to give any shout outs to any of your major sponsors that because you can't do all of this work without having, some sort of financial support?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sponsor I'd love to highlight the most, I've mentioned a couple of times, is Steve Madden, and the reason I say that is because Uber as well. What I love is, especially after the pandemic, a lot of brands really took a look at themselves and said that, it's one thing to partner around, from a marketing perspective, with a community or with a particular opportunity. It's another when you start to design that partnership so that the social impact is as much a valued metric as marketing impressions and all of the things that you typically evaluate these brand partnerships on. And so with Steve Madden, and even with Uber, who really supported us at the start of Harlem Festival Culture with the presenting sponsorship, the entire discussion has always been around it being more than a transactional partnership, but one that's transformational. And so we have designed it such that the deliverables and the activations were directly tethered to some of the impact goals that we had in the community. And so I think this model going forward, and we're hoping that we've helped kind of at least frame the narrative around community and corporate partnerships, and those partnerships, very much like when I partnered with Whole Foods. How do you design it so that you both receive the ROI that you want? Obviously the companies are in business to make money, but you can have a double bottom line. And that's really the path that businesses are taking now, is how do we make sure that that double bottom line is a real integral part of the business strategy. It's just smart business. And so those two brands, I would say, have been really forthcoming in understanding that was our mission, and recognizing that their support needed to come in not only in monetary dollars for the festival, but also in monies that would support the foundation and the impact work, so that the community would feel the benefits. There's a reality that's after July 30th, right? The community still exists outside of the 3 days of the festival. So what impact is there? And that's what I'd really like to highlight. And the partners that we're going to be looking for 2024, still very much wanting partners that are aligned with a double bottom line social impact mission.
So is it the Steve Madden Foundation?
So Steve Madden, so they have partnered with Shopping Gives, which is, and so they have a charitable arm that they do their donations through. And so, our entire relationship from a partnership perspective, it was, it's literally contractually wanted to have, their hands in both buckets. And it was similar, with Uber. We weren't dealing with Uber's marketing division. We're dealing with Uber's social impact division. So that also says a lot when the brand you're working with, it's not their marketing people that you're forming the partnership with. It's their DEI division or their social impact. That shows you where their focus is.
Well, there's a yin and yang and everything. During COVID, or the last part of COVID, as you know, the whole idea of Black Lives Matter, and with George Floyd. Matter of fact, that was another project
Right.
But
The
my
Black Lives
daughter,
Matter Harlem mural. I did
doing
that.
the mural on 125th Street, which was another one of the things that took place. It's getting about that time, so I know that you have to run. But again, please give the viewers where to go in order to get the tickets
Tickets.
for the 3 days, and what's the best way to get to Randall's Island?
Sure. So HarlemFestivalCulture.com is where you can buy tickets. And in terms of, and actually the information is on the website too about accessing Randall's Island. But again, Randall's Island is in East Harlem. And there are a lot of different ways. Parking is available, but it's going to be limited. Most people are going to take public transportation. They can walk. You can literally walk over the bridge. Like I said, everything you need to know is at HarlemFestivalCulture.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at Harlem Festival of Culture. Look out, you're going to see a lot more. We just, the ads for the festival just went up on the link NYC signage. You're going to
Right.
start seeing it in the bus depots and on the sides of the buses and all that good stuff. So the information will be everywhere. And we hope Harlem comes out. The other thing we should note is that Harlem residents get a discounted ticket, $75. So we're really looking for Harlem to come out. That's a special pricing for Harlem residents. They can go online and they'll see that there is a special ticket for
So
Harlem
you have to
residents.
put your address
So
in. How do
people
you
will verify their
qualify?
so when they go to pick up their tickets, they're going to have to be able to show that they have a Harlem address, but they can buy their tickets for $75. So we really want people to spread the word about that, because this really is for Harlem. So we wanted to make sure that Harlem got a special rate. So $75 is the
For 3
price.
days?
Huh? So that's a daily ticket. There's also a VIP, a weekend bundle is discounted as well for Harlem residents. So if they go to the ticket site, they'll see that
The
it literally says Harlem
different
resident.
categories that
So look
people
for the
would
Harlem resident ticket. Absolutely. So I hope we see everybody out there. It's been a lot of work, 2 years in the making. So we're hoping to see everyone out there. We're going to have a really great time.
Well, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy lady. Always like to talk with you. Always love to see the smile. And I have to go to the restaurant, 137th Street.
Yeah, you know what? Just let me know. Let's catch up, because you and I are long overdue anyway for a catch up. So let's put it on the calendar, and I'll meet you at the restaurant.
Oh, you're talking food now, so
I know you're a foodie. I know you are a foodie.
Even though I'm a vegetarian, I'm sure that there will be.
There's a lot of options. So just literally later today, so that we don't forget, send me some dates. Let's put it on the calendar, so that we can definitely do it, because we always say it and then we don't follow up, and then we see each other again and we say we were supposed to get together. So I'm going to look for your message. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Tony. All right.
And today was the last day of school, so
my daughter's been out of school. I dropped her off at sleepaway camp on Sunday. So she's gone for the month.
I remember those. Oh boy.
Yeah, but you know what? I got so much work to do. It's not even really like I could do too much, but at least I can work without having to stop and make snacks.
It's one less thing you have to do.
Exactly.
Take care, Nikoa, and I will definitely send you a text.
Okay. Today. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get together.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Again, Mikoa Evans has been doing so much within the community, and I'm really happy to make sure that people are aware of this new event, which is going to be interesting, because there are actually 3 new hotels that are slated for the Harlem area. And by this time next year, the Harlem Renaissance on 125th Street will be open this August, which would be the first. But there are about 2 others that by 2024 will be open. And what that is, and what that means, I should say, for Harlem, is another economic development opportunity in the tourism and hospitality industry. The the fact that there are going to be two major festivals back to back, which I forgot to um, ask Nikoa, and I have to follow up with that, is that are the dates going to be in place as relates to um, the the annual event, similar to Harlem Week. The last Sunday in August is always Harlem Day, so you can always look at that as a gauge. And the reason for that is that if it does fall like that, July and then August, there's going to be a lot of activity going on, a lot of people being able to come for a week or 2 weeks, and then a lot of people will have the opportunity to spend more money. Just that's the whole idea of tourism. And what I think is the important thing is that through the Harlem Tourism Board, we're really working hard through GoHarlem.org and many of the other programs to make this work. And now I see, I think Musa Jackson may be here. I know that he was, hey, Musa, how are you doing?
I
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your
Okay.
service is a little sketchy, but
A little off. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm actually on set,
I know
and so that's
you're
why I couldn't join earlier. I'm
that's
on.
quite all right. But so that the listeners can know, Nikoa indicated that she uh, was partnering with a person who also, she said, Musa, that she met you 24 years ago. You were one of the first people that helped her understand what was happening in Harlem.
Right,
Tell the
right.
listeners a little
So,
bit about yourself, Musa. Can you tell
so,
the listeners a little bit about who you are?
yeah. So I'm actually known as the Harlem Ambassador, and my family's been in Harlem for 104 years. We coincide 1918. We coincide with the Harlem Renaissance, knowing most of the Harlem figures. Um, I, been around in this entertainment industry now for 40 years. One of the pioneers of fashion and modeling. I'm actually on set right now doing a commercial. And so, can you hear me?
I can hear
Can
you.
you guys hear me? Okay,
Mhm.
great, great, great. And so, my family was, my father knew Malcolm X, my mother knew Adam Clayton Powell, Harlem Organizer for Congress of Racial Equality. So I grew up very much in a very, civil rights, but Harlem legacy family. Very few
Mhm.
of us. And so, with that said, being cultural, I was one of the youngest members of the festival that took place in 1969. Because of that, Questlove reached out to me and asked me to do the film, asked me to star in a film, and I helped make that film. And of course, with the success of that, so then come bring you up to date, decided to bring it back.
I think we might have lost the connection, but for those who did not hear, Musa Jackson was talking about how one, his family has been in Harlem for centuries, for at least over 100 years, and was part of the group that brought back the film that was taken, which was in a basement, but was taken about the festival that took place at Marcus Garvey Park in 1969. And I believe that you can still Google and get that festival because it's been around for a while, but it was a festival that everyone who became famous, in many cases, before they really became famous, whether it was Sly and the Family Stone, whether it was Gladys Knight and the Pips, was
Can you
there.
hear me?
We could hear you. I was just giving a little background information
Give a little
on
background.
the festival and how everybody who became famous, it was so interesting as to how that came about.
So actually, that took place then. And then I was, like I said, a little boy. And so what they did was Questlove decided to humanize the film instead of just making it a music documentary. He took it through my brain. So that's why you open with me, end with me, and then you hear me throughout the film because of basically what it did to my life and really reclaim my life. And so I felt like, even when we were at the Academy Awards, I knew that, when I was talking even with some great directors, I won't name it, and I like to name drop, but I could say it and it'd be like, oh my God. But anyway, Spielberg, and said to me, you really have to bring this back. So what happened was in July, July of 2021, partnered with Nikoa, as we mentioned before. I'd seen her develop and grow, was really there at the beginning of her career and really trying to help her navigate the Harlem waters because, Harlem's an interesting place. And
I've been here for a minute.
Insiders.
Actually, I was in the Panther Party and did security for the festival.
You heard what happened?
Huh?
What'd you say?
I said I was part of the Panther Party security detail for the festival that took place in 1969.
Oh, you were part of them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, can you see me? Okay. Because this connection out here is really not so great. I'm out in Jersey, I'm out in Montclair.
But the information is great. So what we're hearing is good.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm always going to give y'all good stuff. Okay. A lot of history. I'm very fortunate to have been raised up in a lot of very important Black culture. I have a lot of.
Did your family move in different places? I wanted to try to get to him to see whether or not his family moved from different locations in Harlem, because Harlem had changed so many different times. And it'd be interesting to find that out if we can get him back. And I hope we can, because Musa has a lot of historical information, and at some point we'll probably make sure that we get a chance to get him back with a better connection, because there are a lot of stories that I'm sure that he can share that I probably might not even know about. And I've been around, maybe about 20 years longer than him. But the bottom line is, I know that this is an event that I hope that you're able to go to. And again, the website is Harlem. What is it again? Let me just make sure that I give you the right one. Okay, it's the Harlem Festival of Culture.com. And it will take place July the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th at Randall's Island. And you go to the website and you'll be able to get all of the instructions.
They go off.
Hey.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
I promise
for your viewers.
A lot of people.
We'll have to do this. We'll have to do this another time.
Actually, I already said that. A couple of people called in. Can we do another interview?
I feel like I'm cheating you guys.
No,
I feel like I'm cheating. viewers.
The question that came up: did your family live in the same place, or did they move from different locations based on the history of being in Harlem?
Did my family? I'm sorry. Say it again.
Did your family have a residence that they have maintained for a period of time, or did they move to different locations based on the history of being in Harlem?
No, I'm very, very fortunate. I have a ton of family in Harlem that came up from, South Carolina.
Where in
And
South Carolina?
everybody, Orangeburg.
Okay.
Orangeburg.
Yeah, I'm a South Carolina
And
guy too.
Hollyville. So you heard it, Eartha Kitt?
Yes. Eartha Kitt
family
was
member.
Eartha Kitt was the
She's a family member of mine.
She was a godmother of a friend of mine.
That's my family.
I grew up on Convent
Yeah.
Avenue, and she used to come to Convent Avenue because she had a godson there, and we used to even before she became who she is. Matter of fact, one of our members now is doing a one-woman show of Eartha Kitt. You might know her, Sandy.
So I'm saying we knew her before she was born. The Keats.
Oh, okay.
That's a relative. She comes from North, which is inside Orangeburg.
Wow.
And so my grandmother knew of her family, and her last name is not Kitt, it's Keith. Google it. And she changed her name to Kitt. And so, so when she came to Harlem, she actually escaped the South because it was so rough on her, because she was
like
mulatto.
many people.
And so they didn't treat her well. They treated her awful.
Yeah.
And so, but I grew up with these sort of family stories and these legacies of different people and stuff. I like to say, even though we're, very connected to history, real Black American history,
right,
we're just a regular family. I'm just a regular family that has been connected to some really powerful people. And that's what I love about my story. I love about Harlem, is that you can walk around and have these incredible legacies with people.
So when are you going to write your book?
They've asked me. I would rather I'm trying to find someone now who's looking at it and really, see how it goes. Does it go 100 years ago to my life, and then now? Does it start with my, when I was born? So we're kind of looking at how we're going to do it. But I know it would encourage people that know that you can come from the smallest circumstances and do really great in the world.
Where did you grow up?
That's really the message.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up East, Central, and Sugar Hill.
Where in Sugar Hill?
So in other words, my cousin was on 148th and Edgecombe, Bredhurst.
Mm-hmm.
My other cousin's on 128th and Lenox.
Mm-hmm.
And then was on 109th and Lexington. So East Harlem,
okay,
Central Harlem. And this was literally every week I was between these places because of my family. We had a very strong, tight-knit family. So you spent your weekends with different cousins to keep the connection going. And, and that was just my life. It was just kind of hearing these people, seeing these people, knowing these people as they were alive, and stuff, just kind of, having a really strong, and I was always the kid that loved listening to my older folks. For some reason, I love stories. And so I would hear them talk these old stories, and it would they said, you're going to remember. And they would be so proud today to know that memory has won awards.
Now you are at a photo shoot. Is that something that you are doing as relates to in front or behind the camera?
So right now I do have a magazine, so I do behind the camera, but right now I'm in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm doing a commercial. It's a commercial for Stitch Fix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a brand. I think it's out of LA, and it's deals with styling. So you order styling and you get it delivered to your house, and you get cool clothes.
Okay. Well, that's good. When we when we talk in person, you have to tell me a little bit more about that.
I
But
will. I will. I'll tell you more about the journey. Yeah.
well, again, I am happy to have had a chance to meet you. People could always say, "Do you know Musa?" I said, "No, I know I've heard his name, I've seen him, but I haven't really had a chance to actually sit down and talk with him. And the more I'm talking with you now with the South Carolina stuff, and I grew up on Common
Connection.
Avenue. I'm a little older. I'm about 20 years older than you, but I probably know some of your your family in some form or fashion. Especially
Possibly.
you
Must
mentioned
have
Keith,
connected.
because we have a lot of Keiths also in from South Carolina. It's part of my dad's side.
And the last Keeps.
Yeah.
Keeps. Well, then more than likely they're related to Eartha Kitt
Uh-huh.
because that's
Yeah.
her birth name. Is
Yeah.
We'll look it up. You'll look after this. Eartha, for your viewers, Eartha Kitt, and it's she changed her name to Kitt, and she was born in Orangeburg or North, which is a part of Orangeburg,
Right.
and that's where my family's.
That's
And
interesting.
that's where my mom. That's the truth.
Which is interesting now that you say it, because I grew up on Convent Avenue, and as I said, she used to have family on Convent Avenue, and they were all from South Carolina at that time. We migrated from the South and found ourselves on Convent Avenue. But I'm sure that there's a lot of things that we can talk about. What is the most exciting? I know we're running out of time. What's the most exciting thing for you about the festival that's coming up in July?
Well, the most exciting thing is that we get to bring it back and begin the legacy over and have the new generation understand that this is a part of their legacy. It's all about legacy work for now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that young people, this is their festival and that they're picking up the torch that happened all those years ago and that we're hoping to continue it year after year. And so this being the first year that it's come back, we're excited. And then it's also Hip Hop 50. So Hip Hop 50, gets its due. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I went to school with Slick Rick. So Slick Rick and Dana homeroom class. So I'm, that 40 years ago. I graduated 40 years ago, Tony.
Well,
and I'm
actually, I was just telling Nikoa, if you were 15 when hip hop started, you're 65 now. So there's a lot of seniors who are looking at the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
There you go.
Last question before.
And my best friend, can I just say one thing? My best friend growing up, who lived right next door to me, was named Tony Rogers.
No kidding. Interesting.
Tony, isn't that funny? Yeah.
You know how things happen. Last question before we leave, because we know where people can get tickets. The court did all of that. My question is, the annual event, will you try to keep the same dates? Or how do you want to work?
I think we will. What we don't want to do is step on anybody's toes. And we want to make sure that what we become is an asset to the community. Mm-hmm. And make sure that, a lot of things are going on in Harlem. There's Harlem Week that's in August. There's classical theater. Classical theater of Harlem has its own time as well.
Right.
So that's why we want to have it at Island every year at this time. And then we don't want to run into Essence Festival, which is in June. And then now there's a ton of other festivals that are out there.
And
so we just want to make sure if we can.
The reason from the tourism board standpoint, what we're doing through the goharlem.org site is to start to begin to put things into place. For instance, I know Harlem Day is always the third Sunday in August, and you can plan back. The various festivals like yours and many of the others will begin to generate more activity, especially with the Marriott coming in and about 2 other hotels, which is a great economic development opportunity. So that's why I'm glad that we're able to connect. You were at that meeting that was coordinated by the state.
Yeah.
42
And
people.
Curtis Archer,
Curtis
our good
Archer.
friend.
I have been in the tourism business. Again, Harlem Week is 49 years old, so I had not been in a place where there was that many tour-related people coming in at one place. Now, I'm trying to, through the tourism board, to kind of try to keep that going because that was a lot of energy there, and that is that's the tourism and hospitality industry, and that's why the stuff that you're doing, the stuff that Nikoa is doing, and a number of others, I think is important, and it's important to share. As a co-founder of Harlem Week, we had an opening, and we promoted you guys as part of the information to allow for people to understand that it's important this go round for us to try to come together because we're stronger as one. Musa,
I think it was it was great talking. I think it was really great. I just want to say one other thing that you just mentioned was it's so important for us. That was the point of the festival that happened in '69. It was about Black unity. It was about coming together. It was even though they had incredible artists, but that was the purpose of it. After the death of Martin Luther King, they really wanted to do something and say we're going to stand united as we move forward with this festival. It's about social impact, which I know Nikoa brought up and mentioned because that's one of our big initiatives. That the festival is one part of it, but it's the social impact that it's going to make on our community. So anybody that's listening now, if you want to get tickets, go to harlemfestivalculture.com. Get your tickets. If you're from Harlem, I think she mentioned before, it's $75.
You get a discount if you,
it's a great line.
Which is a good thing.
Discount, baby, if you.
Well, again, thank you. And the beautiful thing is that a lot of the Harlem businesses will also have a venue so that they can be able to be seen. So again, one of the things that I have to remind Nicole, and I'll send you it, we want to get the links to the goharlem.org website so that we can help promote that. The whole idea with the goharlem.org site is to try, I want to get all of the 42 individuals that was at that meeting to at least give content so that there could be a powerful image of the many different things that are taking place. And that's kind of what we're doing through goharlem.org. Thank you, Musa. I appreciate you taking time out of your business there to talk to us. I did promise, because a couple of people said we want to hear more about him without interference. So I said we're going to after this is over. I know you're going to be busy up until now, but after this is over, I'd like to invite you to come back on the show so that we can talk and have a better connection. Okay. All right.
I would love that. I'll see you at the festival.
Take care. And we'll make sure that we're out there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. You too. Again, the Harlem Festival of Culture, July 28th, 29th, and 30th. And of course, if you're in the Harlem area, we will have a Harlem Tourism Board meeting tomorrow at 104 Malcolm X Boulevard at the Harlem Heritage office. Stop in and say hello, and we'll be reviewing a couple of things, some of the information that you've had, the Harlem Festival of Culture, of course, Harlem Week, which starts August the 10th and ends on Harlem Day on the 20th, where we do a special salute to Harry Belafonte. So there's a lot of things that are taking place July and August. I hope that if you are in Harlem or wherever you may be, if you are interested in coming to Harlem during that time, visit goharlem.org. We're doing our best to try to make sure that we allow for you to have one place to go to explore the many different things that are taking place. I'd like to thank Soul City, Matt McCoy, Jasmine Pfeiffer for giving us the platform to allow for you to have an understanding of what's going on, not only in Harlem, but in urban America. So this is Tony Rogers. Hope to see you next week, same time, same place. Take care.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.